In the previous episode, we learned what a DAO is and how it works. As promised, today I will be telling you more about the benefits of a DAO. We will also be looking at some of its downsides. Hi, I'm Rashan Gidwani, and you are watching part 2 of our Finance Zen series on decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAO for short. Let's dive right in and start with the benefits. The DAO structure is quickly gaining traction across various fields like sports, the arts, finance, crowdfunding, and so on. It is appealing because it makes it safer and easier for like-minded people to come together and collaborate on a global scale. How so, you may ask? Number 1, decentralized. The DAO's fundamental structure is designed to align with the objective and principles of decentralization, which is to do away with central authority and prevent too much power from being concentrated in the hands of a few individuals. The lack of hierarchical structure would also bring flexibility to the organization, given the absence of bureaucratic red tape. A DAO relies on an impartial code instead of humans to run the organization, effectively removing the need to trust any centralized authority to make decisions and perform operational tasks. The whole organization can continue to operate based on the programmed code, even if funds run out or if certain members of the DAO leave, ensuring continuity. Number 2, participation. DAOs promote more involvement than most traditional organizations since they use a bottom-up approach and are governed by their communities. Members of a DAO could feel more empowered to participate when they believe they have fair voting rights. For example, this could motivate DAO stakeholders to spend their tokens to benefit the organization and participate in all levels of activities, because the decision-making process is not restricted to a select group of individuals. Every member has an equal opportunity to be heard when decisions are made. As a result, there is greater room for the organization and its members to innovate. Number 3, transparency. DAOs are open sourced, which means that its code is publicly available for anyone to see and be improved upon. Open source codes enable other programmers to help the code's main developer find bugs and suggest fixes. Being open source also means that every single transaction that occurs within the DAO can be publicly viewed on its blockchain. This includes details on members' votes and decisions, which in turn compels them to be more accountable and responsible and behave in the best ways possible. Aside from creating an open and fair voting system, the transparency also encourages voters to act in ways that will improve their reputation while avoiding selfish acts that might affect the rest of the community. In theory, at least. Now, let's go over some of the downsides of a DAO. You see, the strengths of a DAO can sometimes also be its weak points. What do I mean by this? Number 1, vulnerability. Earlier, I mentioned how DAOs are open sourced, which enables its code to be publicly available for all to see. While there are plus points to this, it also means that people with malicious intent can view it too. Attackers can then gain knowledge of how the code works and reverse engineer it to attack the organization. Given that DAOs operate as internet-native structures, this vulnerability represents a significant cybersecurity threat that could hamper the entire organization if successfully hacked. For example, DAOs that do not follow adequate security standards and take actions to preserve security can result in the theft of treasury reserves. Additionally, the transparent nature of a DAO would also mean that any competitive advantage that an organization has would be open information to all. Traditionally, businesses would classify trade secrets in order to gain an advantage over competitors. In a DAO, however, there are no secrets. Number 2, speed. As I mentioned earlier, many of the advantages of a DAO are also its source of disadvantages. While a DAO's community-based model and lack of hierarchical structure may allow for every member's voice to be heard, the voting process may just turn out to be a massive setback when it comes to making quicker decisions. This is most apparent in situations of security breaches, where an immediate resolution of security vulnerabilities is needed. However, since it's not possible to make changes to the DAO's smart contracts without first voting to change the code, the organization is unable to respond quick enough to fix the problem. The voting process will require time and the consensus of all DAO members. If the organization is larger, more time is needed. And if community members in a DAO are spread across multiple time zones, you can be sure that it will cause even more delays to the decision-making process. Meanwhile, the security vulnerability remains, leaving the DAO exposed to potential security breaches and exploitation by attackers. To recap, the fundamental transparency of public blockchains and the impartiality of smart contracts allow DAOs to decentralize power and allow members to come together and collaborate globally. However, the same strengths that make DAOs really awesome can also be the source of its limitations and downsides. So far, we have talked about lots of theoretical stuff pertaining to the concept of a DAO. It is time we showed you some actual DAOs and how they have been functioning in the real world. But we'll save that for the next episode, so stay tuned. Till then, ciao!